before we start talking about our questions, just going through our questions, how are things out in Yellowstone today?
Well, it was a normal day for me, in the sense that I got up about 3:30 in the morning. It takes me about an hour to fully wake up and eat and get dressed and get my food ready. And then I drive out into the park. It takes me about maybe 35 or 40 minutes to get where I need to be, which right now is a section of the park where from about a mile away we get to watch a wolf family at a den. And just in the last, well, starting yesterday, we're just beginning to get glimpses of the pups. They're real little guys. This is the Junction Butte Pack. I'm writing a new book. We're finishing up the writing of it, and a lot of it is about the wolf family. The One of the mother wolves is 10 years old,
Oh, wow.
and we think this is her eighth litter of pups. In human years, she's probably like a woman that's 78 that's still having kids.
She's a kind of like Grizzly 399, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And she's had there's a lot to say about her, but one of the things is that years ago she had an injury to her left eye. So she's a 10-year-old wild wolf with only one good eye. But she's a big girl. She's probably about 110, 112 pounds.
What number is she? What's the number they've given her?
That's 907,
Oh.
907.
So I
Mhm.
guess I kind of got jump started a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and actually we need to introduce Rick. So Rick, can you introduce yourself to us and just tell us a little bit about you
Sure,
before we start on our interview process?
sure. My name is Rick McIntyre, and I've been working in Yellowstone National Park since 1994. I originally had started here in our naturalist division for the National Park Service. Those are the rangers that do the campfire programs, the nature walks, and things like that. And my title in those early years was Wolf Interpreter because I had worked with wolves in Denali National Park in Alaska, and then also a little bit in Glacier National Park in northern Montana. So before the reintroduction, when I started, I was the only one in Yellowstone, the only ranger that had actually been around wolves elsewhere. And then they began to hire biologists to actually run the wolf reintroduction program. So my job was essentially to do the public relations to explain why we were bringing wolves back to Yellowstone. And then when they actually arrived and were released the next year in 1995, I continued to work as the wolf interpreter. We did not expect that the wolves would ever be very visible to the public, but it turned out that they were. And I was in a situation where I was easily able to adapt to that development. So, in addition to doing talks and programs and everything on wolves, I spent the rest of my time along the park road finding the wolves. And then, as people drove up to see what I was doing, I would help them see the wolves and then talk to them about the wolves that they were seeing. And I finished up with the Park Service in 2018. I continue to go out every day. And then when I get back, I work on the books that I'm writing about the Yellowstone wolves.
Well, we're really, really excited to be you being our environmental hero for Green Kids Club. There's you've got a few other members in that club right now that we have, one being Thomas Mangelson, one being I mean, we just have some great folks. We have Blood Lions, we have Ian Mitchler,
Mhm.
so we're really thankful that you agreed to do this. So we appreciate it very much. So,
Well,
but
thank you.
but I was just curious. So you're telling us about your day out. So that you said that you got up and you saw the wild. You saw, I guess, number 907 and her 10 puppies. So how was it? How was it out there for the rest of the day? I mean, you go and look at them, and what happens?
Well, yeah, let me see if I can describe it. It's a real unusual situation. First of all, let me say that having the wolves back in Yellowstone has created something that no one ever planned for. and that was huge numbers of folks coming to the park to see the wolves. So some folks that are listening in right now might visualize me being out there by myself on a hillside, um, keeping track of the wolves. But actually, I was surrounded by people. Probably there were easily 50, 60, 70 people that were nearby. So this has become a gigantic aspect of the story of Yellowstone is wolf tourism. We can talk about that a little bit later. But when I'm actually out there, I have a high-powered spotting scope that allows me to stay away from the wolves by about a mile, so I'm not disturbing them. And so I spend my hours watching the wolves and recording their behavior. I have a small tape recorder that I always have with me. And so as I'm looking through my spotting scope, I can put this up to my face and record my notes. So it
Hmm.
might be something like Mother Wolf 907 is going to check on her pups. She licks her pups. Now three of them are nursing on her. Another mother wolf comes over to see what's going on. We think that there's probably two litters of pups in the same den.
Oh, wow.
And then this is a very large pack. It's our very biggest pack. If all the adult members were there at the same time, usually that doesn't happen. But if they're all there, there would be 25 adults.
Wow.
It's the largest pack in Yellowstone. So basically, it's watching the wolves, recording what they're doing, helping other people see the wolves. Yesterday, there was a group of high school kids from Billings, Montana, so we helped them see the wolves. And I talked with them maybe for about 45 minutes about the stories of wolves in Yellowstone. So we put a lot of effort into helping people see wolves and learn about them. It's the best way to get more and more people on the side of wolves. So for anyone that comes to Yellowstone and gets to see the wolves and learns a little bit about them, uh, they're going to be pro-wolf for the rest of their life.
Wow.
So we're making converts all the time.
That's great. And usually, what time does your day end when you're out there? Like at noon, or yeah, I'm just curious. Are you there like hours or how?
Mhm. Well, there's a lot of variation, but because wolves, like dogs, don't like to be out in hot weather when the sun is coming down on them, they tend to be inactive by the time you get to late morning, and then they'd be resting throughout the middle part of the day and then be active again in the evening hours. So when I was working for the Park Service, I worked a split shift. I'd be out in the mornings, be off in the afternoons, and then go back out in the evening. Now that I'm writing my books, I've changed that a bit. So I go out every morning, but generally speaking, then when I go back, I'll rest a little bit, and then I spend the rest of the day writing up my field notes
Huh.
and working on my book projects.
Okay. No, I was just curious how your day, and you get up pretty early, huh, in the morning?
Yeah, what we do is we need to be out there at what we call first light. That's about a half an hour before the official sunrise.
Oh, okay.
So on the longest days of the year, which are coming up next month, I need to be out there by 5 a.m.
Wow. Okay.
And I think I mentioned it's about maybe a 40-minute drive to get there. And then I need about an hour to wake up, to eat, to kind of get ready to drive. So in a few weeks, I'll be getting up at 3:15 a.m.
Oh my
to
gosh.
get out there
Okay.
in time.
I was
Yeah.
just
So
curious.
yeah,
That's
it's a sacrifice for science. But if you sleep in, you're going to miss all that stuff.
huh.
So when I was in high school and college, if I could, I'd sleep to 11 a.m. every day. So I had to change that pattern to be a wolf researcher.
I think I'd have to do some work on that one myself.